Out there, the world is only darkness and rain. Everything is pounding, her heart, the air, the wild noise of the storm. It isn't just thunder roaring overhead. It's the sound of her life splitting apart, of old loyalties snapping like branches in the wind. In the middle of the howling forest, Lyra crashes through the night, not caring about the cold that bites her skin, or the ache in her ankle that's already slick with blood. Barefoot and gasping, she runs, not for somewhere, but from everything. The trees claw at her arms, brambles snatch at her clothes, wanting pieces of her as though the whole forest is hungry for a scrap, a scent, a drop of her fear. She's bleeding, shaking, but she won't stop. Behind her, howls rip through the storm, her own pack, her own family. They're hunting her this time. Every breath tastes like mud and metal, and the sour crackle of anger. The air is alive with the smell of wet earth, and something raw and furious, something tearing inside her chest with every step. Somewhere far behind, voices rise, sharp and cold, sneering her name like it's a curse. Shadows are moving, lanterns swinging wild between the trees as the ones who were her kin hunt for any sign of her. And always, inside her, the wolf. Her wolf. Broken now, half silent and spark-spitting, unable to help her. Her legs go numb, but still she runs, scared of stopping, more scared of slowing down. Lyra wants to scream, or maybe sob, but there's no sound left except the storm. Lightning crashes so close that the whole wood splits open in a blinding flash. Thunder cracking over her head like her father's angry voice. Disgrace! Traitor! It's not just the sky that's breaking. She runs harder. She tries to remember another time, another feeling. Her mother's arms, gentle and shaking, the warm rush of the pack's laughter after the hunt. But all of that feels far away, wrapped in stringy memories torn by words she can't unhear. Shamed. Betrayed. Unwanted. Her mind keeps looping images. Her mother crying in the torchlight, her father's eyes cold and heavy, his back turned as if she had already vanished. She keeps telling herself, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Over and over, a whisper so cracked and soft she can barely hear it. She wishes, just for a moment, her wolf would answer, would steady the trembling in her bones. But inside, it's all static. No comfort, no claws. Only the echo of her own voice bouncing back, smaller every time, and yet there is something else. Whenever fear threatens to drown her, strange streaks of silver rush under her skin. They glow faint in the storm's light. For a heartbeat, the ground beneath her feet feels different, charged, like even the forest can see her, knows her pain. At her touch, thorny branches stretch away, letting her pass. For a second, she feels less alone. Power hums at her fingertips, but just as soon as it comes, it fizzles, gone. Her foot catches on a root. Pain flares up her leg, and she topples forward, scraping her knees raw. Her power has never been steady, always flickering, always wild. She hates it, hates the heat and shame, and the way the others stared when she couldn't control it. Hates how it made everything worse. Behind her, the voices grow louder, closer. Through the din, she catches cruel snatches of memory, words that sting deeper than the nettles on her arms. She lay with a human, tainted blood. She is an oath-breaker. We'll sell her. Let the cursed lands have what's left. Lyra squeezes her eyes shut, stumbling forward. She remembers the heavy scratch of her father's pen, the contract laid out on the altar, the ink as black as her mother's tears. Gold and land exchanged in her name, her freedom sealed away with a cold scrape of parchment. They called it atonement. She calls it betrayal. No one asked what was true. She was given away like a burnt offering, pushed to pay for sins she never committed. Her ankle throbs as she crashes beneath a broken stone arch, the border, the edge where her pack's lands end, and something far worse begins. Blackthorn Ridge. The very name is sharp as claws. Every pup is warned. Cross this line and the shadows themselves will eat you. Here the air is colder, meaner, Rain falls quieter but sharper, as if the drops are made of glass. The world is changed, strange and empty, but for the shiver crawling up her spine. Then, through her hammering heart, a new scent cuts the air. Smoky, heavy with iron, and deep forest tangled with something she cannot name. Ancient, wild, dangerous. Her wolf, silent for so long she thought it was gone, whimpers a single broken word. Alpha! Lyra staggers, frozen at the edge of a world she's never dared to enter, senses screaming. Somewhere in the blackness between the trees, something is watching. From the shadows, shapes slide, threats made of muscle, fur, and teeth, closing in. Behind her, the old voices snarl, half human, half wolfish. In front, only the unknown. Her father's beta steps from the gloom, crossbow raised, eyes cold and flat as stones. Come quietly, Lyra. Maybe we'll let you keep your life. The pack's faces flicker in the flash of lightning. Some familiar, some strangers now. Her heart hammers as her veins light up again, blue-silver against the storm. She's trapped, backs against the drop, a hungry river foaming below, and all hope narrowing to a thin edge. One last heartbeat. One last sharp breath. In the darkness, a snarl splits the world, thunderous and wrong. Every shadow shifts. From the trees steps a wolf twice the size of any she's ever seen. His coat is midnight, streaked with silver like moonlight frozen in fur. Eyes, burning amber, full of promise and judgment. This is Ronan, the one mothers threaten fussy pups with, the one every hunter dreads. Rumor says he's cursed, insane, a killer. Now, in the flesh, he stands between Lyra and the jaws at her back. Hunters step back, weapons shaking. Even the beta blinks, sweat purling on his brow. Tension stretches so tight that it almost hurts to breathe. Ronan's eyes lock on Lyra, calculating, wild. Then, slowly, he paces between her and the pack, every muscle taut like a drawn bow. Someone behind shouts, desperate, "She's ours! Sold by blood oath!" Ronan doesn't answer with words. He growls, long and low, the sound so deep it makes the earth itself seem to vibrate. For a second, nobody moves. Not Lyra, barely standing. Not the hunters, newly afraid. Lyra is shaking, trapped between the pack that wants to sell her and the monster who stands in their way. She doesn't know whether to feel terror or relief, maybe both, because for the first time all night, she isn't alone. If your heart's thudding for Lyra, stuck between the family that broke her and the monster her parents fear most, now's the time to listen closer. Stay with us. Tap subscribe to Crimson Moon by Benny. Smash that like, and let us know. Where in the world are you hearing this right now? Because the real darkness is only getting started. The rain softens for just a breath. Ronan lifts his huge head, his voice rough as gravel, cold as the river far below. She's on my land. That makes her mine. The silence that fills the forest after her pack vanishes is worse than the storm. It presses down heavy and thick, not peaceful, but watching, waiting. Lyra's chest heaves, her breath stuttering in ragged gasps as the rain slows to a drizzle. Her legs shake. Her heart is pounding so hard she swears it could crack her ribs. And Ronan, the feared wolf, the nightmare from every fireside warning, he just stands there in the fading thunder, eyes locked on the dark path where her family disappeared. Then something shifts. The air trembles. His body convulses, bones snapping and reshaping with wet cracks that make her stomach lurch. Fur melts away like smoke, claws shrinking back into human fingers. In moments, the massive black wolf is gone, replaced by a man. Tall, broad-shouldered, and terrifyingly still. His chest is bare, rain-slicked skin marked with old pack runes tattooed in faded ink. Scars crisscross his ribs, his shoulders, his collarbone. Stories carved into flesh, wars no one dares speak about. His amber eyes burn just as fierce in this form, maybe more so, because now there's intelligence behind them, sharp, cold, calculating. He doesn't bother with clothes, doesn't flinch at the cold. He repeats himself, voice low and steady, like he's stating a fact no one can argue. On my land, she's my affair. Lyra's uncle, still half hidden in the shadows, steps forward one last time, fists clenched, face twisted with anger, and something else. Fear, maybe. He shouts, voice cracking. That girl is bound by contract, blessed by the moon herself. She betrayed her mate bond, lay with a human, bears his filthy scent. The council has spoken. She's ours to sell, ours to... Ronan moves closer to Lyra. She freezes, every muscle locked tight. He leans in just slightly, nostrils flaring as he draws in her scent. Slow, deliberate, reading her like a book written in the air. His jaw tightens, but he says nothing, not yet. He straightens, turning back to the hunters, with a look so empty it's frightening. No rage, no heat, just cold, bottomless certainty. Leave alive, he says softly, almost gently, or leave in pieces. Either way, you're leaving. The words hang there, simple and sharp as a blade. For a heartbeat, no one moves. Then one of the younger warriors, braver or more foolish than the rest, lunges forward, spear raised, snarling something about honor and blood debt. Ronan doesn't even blink. He moves like lightning made flesh, faster than Lyra's eyes can follow. 1 second the warrior is charging. The next, Ronan has him by the throat, lifted off the ground and slammed against a tree so hard the bark splinters. The spear clatters useless to the mud. Ronan's hand is steady, his face calm, but the threat is written in every line of his body. The young warrior chokes, clawing at Ronan's grip, eyes wide with panic. The storm seems to pause. Even the wind holds its breath. Ronan doesn't shift, doesn't growl. He just holds the man there, letting the silence do the work. Then, slowly, he releases him. The warrior crumples to the ground, gasping, scrambling back toward the others. Ronan's voice is soft again, almost bored. Next one won't walk away. Lyra's uncle stares, mouth open, fists shaking. For all his bluster, all his righteous fury, he knows when a fight is lost. This isn't their land. This is cursed ground, where even the trees remember old violence. He spits on the mud, a final insult, and his voice drips venom. She'll rot with you then. That girl is a stain, a liar, a cheat. A whore! Lyra flinches like she's been struck. The words cut deeper than claws ever could. She wants to scream, to cry, to disappear into the ground. But Ronan's jaw flexes, just once, a tiny movement that could be anger or something else. He doesn't speak, doesn't defend her. He just watches as her uncle and the remaining hunters turn and melt back into the forest, their torches fading to distant flickers. He stands motionless, eyes tracking their every step, memorizing their scent, their shapes, their fear. When the last shadow is gone, the forest breathes again. The rain picks up, soft and cold. Lyra realizes she's trembling, not just from cold, but from everything crashing down at once. She doesn't know what to feel. Relief? Terror? Both? This man, this monster, just saved her from the people who raised her, who sang her lullabies and taught her to hunt. And now they're gone, and she's alone with him. Ronan turns. His gaze sweeps over her slowly, like he's solving a puzzle, figuring out which piece goes where. He circles her, movements predatory and deliberate, and she forces herself not to run. Her wolf stirs faintly inside, confused and aching. Not safe, but not your enemy. It doesn't make sense, but nothing does anymore. Then he speaks her name, just like that. No question, no hesitation. Lyra, daughter of Elias Grayfin. She jerks back, eyes wide. How do you know my name? He doesn't answer directly. His eyes flick over her torn clothes, her bleeding ankle, the faint silver shimmer still lingering under her skin. You reek of their politics, he says flatly. No pity, no warmth, just fact. Lyra tries to take a step back, but her injured ankle buckles. Pain flares white-hot up her leg, and she stumbles, arms flailing. Ronan moves on instinct, catching her before she hits the ground. His hands are warm, rough with calluses, strong enough to snap bones, but holding her steady. There's nothing gentle in the way he grips her arms. No comforting words, no soft touches. He holds her like she's a problem to solve, not a person to save. His eyes drop briefly to the silver light pulsing faintly beneath her skin, and something flickers in his expression. Curiosity? Suspicion? But just as quickly, he lets her go, releasing her like touching her burns. She staggers, catching herself against a tree. He points toward the dark expanse of forest behind him, where shadows swallow the path and the trees grow twisted and old. "You step off my land," he says, voice flat. "They finish what they started." Then he gestures toward the black hills rising in the distance, jagged and forbidding under the stormy sky. "You come with me, the rules are mine." Lyra looks back the way she came. The cliff edge, the roaring river below, the vanishing shapes of her old pack, everything she once knew, now gone or deadly. She looks at him, scarred, dangerous, impossibly still, and realizes she has no choice. Not really. She's bleeding, exhausted, broken. Her family sold her. Her wolf is barely there. And this stranger, this nightmare, is the only thing standing between her and death. Her voice comes out hoarse, barely a whisper, cracked with everything she's lost. "I have nothing left to lose." Ronan's eyes narrow, something almost like dark humor flickering there. "You'd be surprised," he says quietly. Then he turns, expecting her to follow, and walks into the darkness without looking back. Lyra hesitates for only a heartbeat. Then, limping and shivering, she follows him into the unknown. The path ahead is narrow and winding, swallowed by thick undergrowth and ancient trees, whose roots twist like veins across the ground. Ronan moves through it like a ghost, silent, sure-footed, never slowing. Lyra struggles to keep up, her ankle throbbing with every step, her clothes soaked and heavy. The rain has softened to a mist now, clinging to her skin, cold and invasive. She wants to ask where they're going, how far, what happens next, but the words stick in her throat. He doesn't seem like the kind of man who answers questions just because you ask them. The forest changes the deeper they go. The trees grow taller, older. Their bark gnarled and dark, as though they've seen too many winters. Moss hangs in thick curtains from the branches, muffling sound. Even the birds are silent here. It feels like walking into a place that doesn't want visitors, a place that remembers too much. Lyra's wolf stirs uneasily, whispering warnings she can't quite understand. But Ronan walks on, unbothered, like he owns every shadow and stone. After what feels like forever, he glances back, just once, his amber eyes catching the dim light. "Keep up," he says, not unkindly, but not warmly either. It's a command, simple and clear. Lyra grits her teeth and forces her legs to move faster, ignoring the sharp sting in her ankle, the exhaustion clawing at her bones. They pass through a gap in the trees, and suddenly the world opens up. Before them stands a stone structure, half fortress, half ruins, built into the side of a rocky hill. It's old, ancient even, with crumbling walls and moss-covered arches. But parts of it are clearly lived in. Smoke curls from a chimney, and warm light glows faintly through narrow windows. It looks like a place caught between worlds, neither entirely wild nor entirely tame. Ronan stops at the entrance, a heavy wooden door reinforced with iron. He pushes it open without a word and steps inside. Lyra hesitates at the threshold, suddenly afraid in a new way. Once she crosses this line, there's no going back. No family, no pack, no past. Only whatever waits inside. She takes a breath, steadies herself, and steps through the door. Inside, the air is warmer, tinged with the smell of burning wood and something earthy, like damp stone and old leather. The space is sparse, rough-hewn furniture, a fireplace crackling with low flames, shelves lined with jars and tools she doesn't recognize. It feels lived in but lonely, like a place meant for one and only one. Ronan moves to the fire, crouching to add another log, his movements efficient and practiced. He still hasn't spoken. Lyra stands awkwardly near the door, dripping rainwater onto the stone floor, unsure what to do with her hands, her fear, her questions. Finally, she can't stand the silence anymore. "Why did you help me?" she asks, voice small but steady. Ronan doesn't turn around. He stares into the flames, his broad shoulders tense. For a moment, she thinks he won't answer. Then he speaks, voice low and rough. "I didn't help you. I made a choice." He pauses, then adds, almost too quiet to hear, "And I don't make them lightly." Lyra swallows hard. "What kind of choice?" He stands, finally turning to face her. His eyes are unreadable, shadows dancing across his scarred face. "The kind that costs something," he says simply, "for both of us." She doesn't know what that means, but the weight of it settles over her like a second skin. She's in his world now, under his rules, and whatever happens next is out of her control. The realization is terrifying and strangely freeing all at once. She has nothing left to lose, nothing left to protect. Only herself, and even that feels fragile, uncertain. Ronan gestures toward a narrow hallway. "There's a room at the end. Clean yourself up. There's water, clothes. You'll stay there." It's not an offer, it's a fact. Lyra nods, too tired to argue, too broken to care. She limps toward the hallway, each step echoing in the quiet. As she reaches the doorway, she hears his voice one last time, soft and edged with something she can't name. "Don't make me regret this." She doesn't answer. She just keeps walking, disappearing into the shadows of the hall, leaving him alone with the fire and whatever demons haunt this place. And as the door closes behind her, she realizes she's traded one prison for another. But this one, at least, doesn't call her a liar. Not yet. The hallway is narrow and dim, lit only by thin slits of moonlight that slip through cracks in the stone. Lyra limps forward, every step echoing in the silence. Her wet clothes cling to her skin, heavy and cold, and her ankle throbs with each movement. She reaches the room Ronan pointed to, a small, bare space with rough stone walls, a low bed covered in faded blankets, and a chipped basin on a wooden stand. No warmth, no welcome, just shelter, cold and hard as everything else in this place. She closes the door behind her and leans against it, finally letting herself breathe. Her whole body shakes, from cold, from exhaustion, from everything she's been holding inside. She slides down to the floor, knees pulled to her chest, and for the first time since running, she lets the tears come. Silent, bitter tears that taste like shame and loss and fear all mixed together. Outside, beyond these walls, Ronan moves through his territory like a shadow. Lyra doesn't know it yet, but he's walking the perimeter, checking on his wolves, making sure the borders are secure. The forest he calls home is twisted and strange. Black-bark trees that lean at odd angles, their roots knotted and thick. But there's life here too, if you know where to look. Glowing fungi pulse faintly along the trunks, casting soft blue light. Silver-leafed shrubs hum quietly in the breeze, a sound almost like singing. The land feels cursed to outsiders, haunted by old wars and broken oaths. But to those who belong, it's protection. It's sanctuary. Lyra forces herself to stand, to move. She peels off her soaked clothes, wincing as the fabric pulls at scraped skin. She pours water from a jug into the basin and washes the mud and blood away, each touch stinging but necessary. As she cleans herself, her mind drifts, back to the night everything fell apart. She's 17 again, sitting in a small diner at the edge of pack territory, laughing over cheap coffee and greasy fries. The boy across from her is human, sweet, nervous, with dark eyes and an easy smile. His name is Marcus, and he works at the bookstore in town. They've been meeting for weeks, secret and harmless. He tells her about his favorite books. She tells him about the forest, careful not to mention wolves or shifting or anything that might scare him away. For a few stolen hours, she feels normal. Free, but someone is watching. A pack suitor, a young wolf named Kale, who's been chasing her attention for months, follows them, jealous and furious. He takes pictures through the diner window. Lyra smiling, leaning close, her hand brushing Marcus's arm. Innocent touches twisted into evidence. He brings the pictures back to the pack, shows them to the council, to her father. And just like that, everything changes. The council gathers under torchlight in the old stone hall, their faces hard and unforgiving. They call Lyra forward, make her stand before them like a criminal. Her father won't look at her. Her mother cries, but not for Lyra, for the shame, for what the neighbors will say, for the stain this brings on their name. The council elder, a gray-haired woman with sharp eyes, speaks in a voice like iron. Unclean. She has shared her time, her scent, her affection with a human. She has contaminated the bloodline. The old laws demand exile or death. Lyra tries to defend herself, voice shaking. We only talked. I didn't do anything wrong. But no one listens. The pictures are enough. The suspicion is enough. And Kyle, smug and satisfied, watches from the back of the hall. Her father finally speaks, voice low and cold. You've disgraced us, brought shame to our family. The council has decided you'll be sold to the border territories as payment for land rights. It's the only way to restore our honor. Sold, like livestock, like she's worth nothing more than gold and dirt. Her mother doesn't protest. No one does. They sign the contract under the moon's altar, her name written in black ink beside a sum of money and a plot of contested land. They call it atonement, sacrifice for the pack's future. Lyra calls it what it is, betrayal. Back in the present, Lyra stares at her reflection in the basin's murky water. Her face is pale, eyes red-rimmed, hair tangled and damp. She hates herself for still wanting their approval, for the small, broken part of her that wishes her father had stood up for her, that her mother had believed her. She hates how much it still hurts, and her wolf, once fierce and bright inside her, is dim now, barely a whisper. It feels trapped behind glass, unreachable. Ever since the accusations, since the fear and shame took root, her wolf has been fading. The strange power under her skin, the silver shimmer that pulses when she's afraid, aches for release. But she doesn't trust it. It's wild, unstable, and it only made things worse before. She pulls on the clean clothes left for her, simple, rough fabric that smells faintly of pine and smoke. They're too big, but they're dry and warm. She climbs onto the bed, exhaustion dragging her down. Through the narrow window, she can see the valley below, bathed in moonlight, and in the distance, movement. Wolves patrolling the borders, their shapes lean and scarred. Every one of them looks battle-worn, hardened. This isn't a pack of the pampered and privileged. This is a pack of outcasts, warriors, survivors, those who don't fit anywhere else. Lyra's eyes grow heavy, but sleep doesn't come easy. Voices drift up from somewhere below, low, guarded, speaking in tones meant not to be overheard. But her wolf, weak as it is, sharpens her hearing just enough to catch pieces. She won't last. He'll drive her out like the others. A pause. Then another voice, quieter, more cautious. The Bloodhound Alpha doesn't take in strays for kindness. He smells something. The Bloodhound Alpha. The title sends a chill through her. She doesn't know what it means, but the way they say it, with fear and respect twisted together, tells her enough. Ronan isn't just feared for his strength. There's something else. Something deeper. Lyra pulls the blanket tighter around herself, heart pounding. What did they mean, like the others? How many have come here before her, and what happened to them? The next morning comes cold and gray. Lyra wakes to the sound of footsteps in the hall, heavy and deliberate. She sits up, stiff and sore, as the door opens without a knock. Ronan stands in the doorway, still shirtless, scars stark against his skin in the pale light. His amber eyes sweep over her, assessing, calculating. "Get up," he says simply. "If you're staying, you work." Lyra blinks, confusion and defiance warring in her chest. Work? Everyone here earns their place. No exceptions. His voice is flat, brooking no argument. "You'll help in the kitchens today. Tomorrow, we'll see what you're good for." He turns to leave, but she calls after him, voice sharper than she intends. You said I'm not a prisoner. He stops, glances back over his shoulder. You're not. His eyes lock on hers, intense and unyielding. But run, and I won't fetch you twice. The words hang in the air, a warning and a promise. Then he's gone, leaving her alone with the weight of them. Lyra sits on the edge of the bed, hands trembling. She's free to leave, technically. Free to walk back into the forest, to face her old pack, or the wilderness, or whatever death is waiting. But she knows the truth. There's nowhere else to go. This place, harsh and unwelcoming as it is the only shelter she has. And Ronan, dangerous and cold as he is the only thing standing between her and the wolves who want her dead. She stands, steadies herself, and walks out into the hall. The stone keep is built into the side of a rocky hill, half ruins and half fortress. Parts of it are ancient, crumbling under the weight of centuries. Other parts have been rebuilt, rough but sturdy, made from stone and scavenged timber. It feels like a place caught between survival and collapse, held together by will alone. She follows the scent of food and wood smoke down narrow stairs, through corridors lined with flickering torches, until she reaches a large communal room. A fire burns in a stone hearth, and several wolves, some in human form, some half-shifted, move about, preparing food, sharpening weapons, tending to tasks. They glance up as she enters, eyes wary and cold. No one speaks to her. No one smiles. An older woman with gray-streaked hair and a hard-lined face gestures Lyra over. You! Here! Chop those. She points to a pile of root vegetables, a knife already waiting on the table. Lyra nods, grateful for something to do, something to focus on besides the stares and whispers. She picks up the knife and starts chopping, her hands clumsy at first, but finding a rhythm. The woman watches her for a moment, then grunts. Approval or dismissal, Lyra can't tell. As she works, she listens. The wolves around her talk in low voices about patrols and territory disputes, about scents tracked in the woods and strangers sighted near the borders. They speak of Ronan with a mix of fear and loyalty, like he's both savior and executioner. One younger wolf mentions a name, Delta Kane, and the room goes quiet for a beat, tension thickening. Lyra files it away, a piece of a puzzle she doesn't yet understand. Hours pass. Her hands ache. Her ankle throbs, but she doesn't stop. She knows she's being tested, watched for weakness, for failure. She won't give them the satisfaction. Finally, as the sun dips low and shadows grow long, Ronan returns. He moves through the room like a storm, silent and inevitable. His eyes find Lyra, and he jerks his head toward the door. Come! She sets down the knife, wipes her hands, and follows him outside. The valley is bathed in golden light, the twisted trees casting strange, beautiful shadows. Ronan leads her to the edge of the settlement, where the land drops away into a steep ravine. Below, a river rushes, wild and cold. He stops, arms crossed, and finally speaks. You're not here by accident. Lyra frowns, confused. What do you mean? He turns to face her fully, eyes burning with something she can't name. I know what you are. I can smell it on you. Power you don't understand, buried under fear and shame. He steps closer, voice low and intense. Your pack sold you because they were afraid. Not of what you did, but of what you could become. Her breath catches. I don't. You're not broken, Lyra. You're caged. He holds her gaze, unflinching. And this place? It's where cages break. The words hit her like a punch, stirring something deep and frightening inside. She wants to argue, to deny it, but the truth is sharp and undeniable. Her power, her wolf, the strange silver light. She's always felt like she's holding back a flood, terrified of what would happen if she let go. Ronan's expression softens, just barely. You'll stay here, you'll learn, and when you're ready, you'll decide what happens next. He pauses, then adds quietly, but don't mistake this for kindness. I don't save people, I give them a chance to save themselves. He walks away, leaving her standing at the edge of the ravine. the wind pulling at her hair, the weight of his words settling into her bones. And for the first time since she ran, Lyra feels something other than fear. Something small and fragile, but real. Hope. That night, sleep comes like a hunter stalking prey, slow, unwanted, and impossible to escape. Lyra lies on the narrow bed, eyes closed but mind racing, replaying the day's strange moments over and over. Ronan's words echo in her head. You're not broken. You're caged. She doesn't know if she believes him, but the idea sticks, sharp and uncomfortable, like a thorn under her skin. When sleep finally drags her under, it brings no rest, only darkness. Cold, heavy darkness that presses on her chest until she can't breathe. Then the silver light comes, brilliant and blinding, pouring over her like water. But it's not gentle. It pulls at her, drags her down, drowning her in brightness that burns. Hands reach from the light, dozens of them, clawing at her arms, her legs, her throat. Voices chant in unison, harsh and relentless. Infidel, impure, unworthy. She tries to scream, but no sound comes. She tries to fight, but the hands are too strong, too many. They pull her deeper into the light until there's nothing left but pain and shame and the terrible certainty that she deserves this. Then, through the chaos, a pair of eyes appears. Amber and burning, cutting through the silver like a blade. They watch her, unblinking, neither kind nor cruel, just present. Steady. Ronan's eyes? Or something older? Something beyond him? The moon goddess herself, maybe, staring down with judgment or mercy. She can't tell which. Lyra gasps awake, bolting upright in bed, heart hammering so hard it hurts. Sweat soaks her skin despite the cold. Her hands shake as she presses them to her chest, trying to steady her breathing. And then she sees it. Her wrists. Faint silver symbols glow against her skin, delicate and intricate, like writing in a language she doesn't know. They pulse softly, fading even as she stares at them, until they're gone completely. Just skin. No proof. But the ache remains, a strange heat lingering where the marks were. She sits there for a long time, afraid to move, afraid to sleep again. Outside, the first gray light of dawn creeps through the window. She can't stay in this room anymore. She needs air, space, something to ground her. Lyra pulls on her boots and slips out into the hall, moving quietly through the sleeping keep. The stone walls are cold and ancient, lined with flickering torches that cast long shadows. She doesn't know where she's going, only that her feet carry her forward, drawn by something she can't explain. She passes empty rooms, narrow corridors, until she reaches a part of the keep that feels older than the rest. The air here is colder, heavier, thick with the weight of forgotten things. She finds it by accident, a half-collapsed shrine tucked into a corner, almost hidden by rubble and overgrown vines. The doorway is cracked, the roof partially caved in, but moonlight spills through the gaps, lighting the space in silver. Lyra steps inside, careful of the loose stones underfoot. The walls are covered in carvings, old and worn but still visible. Her breath catches as she traces the images with her eyes. A wolf stands at the center, massive, silver-veined, its eyes carved so deep they seem to watch her. Around it, two packs clash, teeth bared, claws extended, locked in eternal war. But the silver wolf stands between them, neither joining nor fleeing, just standing, alone and powerful. Beneath the carving, words are etched in an ancient script, but some parts are still readable. The one who smells the lie, and the one whose blood reflects the moon. Lyra's heart pounds. She doesn't understand it, but something about the words feels familiar, like a memory buried too deep to reach. She leans closer, fingers hovering just above the stone, afraid to touch it. That shrine belongs to no one. Not anymore. The voice cuts through the silence like a blade. Lyra spins around, heart leaping into her throat. Ronan stands in the doorway, silhouetted against the dim light of the hall. He's silent as a shadow, arms crossed, watching her with those unreadable amber eyes. How long has he been there? I... I'm sorry, she stammers, stepping back from the wall. I didn't mean to intrude. I couldn't sleep, and I just... He waves a hand, cutting her off. I told you, it belongs to no one. He steps into the shrine, his presence filling the small space. His eyes move from her face to her wrists, where the marks glowed just hours ago, then to the carved silver wolf on the wall. Something flickers in his expression, too quick to catch. Did your pack ever teach you the old prophecies? He asks, voice low and steady. Lyra shakes her head. No, they only taught us fear. And obedience. A flash of disgust crosses his face, sharp and sudden, but it's not aimed at her. It's something deeper, colder. Of course they didn't, he mutters, almost to himself. Truth is bad for business, she frowns, confused. What do you mean? He doesn't answer right away. Instead, he moves closer to the wall, studying the carvings like he's reading a story he knows by heart. Packs like yours thrive on control. They keep their wolves small, scared, ignorant, because a wolf who knows the old stories, who understands what they could be, won't stay tame for long. Lyra swallows hard, his words stirring something restless inside her. And you? Do you believe the old stories? Ronan's eyes slide to hers, burning in the dim light. I don't believe. I know. He taps the carving of the silver wolf. This wasn't just a legend. It was a warning and a promise. Before she can ask what he means, he moves past her, close enough that his scent washes over her, smoke and iron and ancient pine. She holds her breath, frozen, as he pauses just beside her. His nostrils flare, almost imperceptibly, as if he's catching something in the air. His body stiffens for half a heartbeat, predator instincts sharpening. He smells something that doesn't fit. Lyra's pulse races. She doesn't know what he's sensing, but she feels it too. The wrongness of the story her pack told, the pieces that never made sense. The boy she laughed with in the diner, Marcus, never touched her beyond friendship, never kissed her, never even held her hand. But her pack painted her as tainted, unclean, stained by human contact. Why? What were they so afraid of? Ronan says nothing. But the hunter in him is awake now, chasing answers instead of prey. He steps away, moving toward the doorway, and she almost thinks he'll leave without another word. But then he stops, glancing back over his shoulder. Stay close to the keep today, he says, voice flat but edged with something she can't name. The borders aren't safe, and neither are you. Then he's gone, swallowed by the shadows of the hall, leaving Lyra alone with the carvings and the weight of questions she doesn't know how to ask. The day passes in a blur of tasks and silence. Lyra works in the kitchens again, chopping, scrubbing, doing whatever she's told without complaint. The other wolves still watch her with wary eyes, still whisper when they think she can't hear. But she keeps her head down, focuses on the work, tries not to think about the shrine or the dream or the way Ronan looked at her. But she can't stop thinking about it. The carved wolf, the prophecy, the silver marks on her wrists, the one whose blood reflects the moon. What does that even mean? And why does it feel like it's about her? As the sun dips low, painting the valley in shades of gold and crimson, Lyra finds herself drawn back to the shrine. She shouldn't go, she knows that. But her feet carry her there anyway, like they have a mind of their own. She steps inside, the air colder now, the light softer. She stares at the silver wolf again, at the words beneath it, and whispers them aloud. The one who smells the lie, and the one whose blood reflects the moon. Her skin prickles. For a moment, she swears the carved eyes glow faintly, watching her. But when she blinks, they're just stone again. Still can't stay away? Ronan's voice. Again. This time she's not startled. She almost expected him. He leans against the doorway, arms crossed, watching her with that same intense, calculating gaze. I don't understand it, she admits quietly. This place, these words, what they mean. He's silent for a long moment. Then he steps inside, standing beside her, close enough that she feels the heat radiating from his skin. "You will," he says simply. "When you're ready." She turns to look at him, searching his face for answers. "Why did you really bring me here, Ronan?" His jaw tightens. For the first time, she sees something crack in his armor. Just a sliver. Just enough to glimpse the weight he carries. "Because I know what it's like," he says, voice rough. "To be accused of something you didn't do. To be cast out for the truth no one wants to hear." Her breath catches. "What happened to you?" He doesn't answer. Instead, he reaches out, fingers hovering just above her wrist, where the marks were. "You're not the only one the moon has marked, Lyra." His eyes meet hers, burning with something fierce and broken. "And you're not the only one who's been lied to." Before she can respond, a howl cuts through the evening air. Sharp, urgent, a warning. Ronan's head snaps toward the sound, every muscle in his body going taut. Another howl joins the first, then another, echoing across the valley. "Rogues!" he growls, already moving toward the door. "Stay here! Don't leave the keep!" "Wait!" she starts, but he's already gone, shifting mid-stride, bones cracking and fur rippling as he becomes the massive black wolf. He disappears into the forest, followed by the sounds of his pack rallying, snarls and howls rising in the distance. Lyra stands alone in the shrine, heart pounding, fear and something else, something wild and restless, stirring inside her. She looks down at her wrists, willing the marks to appear again, to give her some sign, some answer. But there's nothing, just skin, just silence. And yet, deep inside, her wolf stirs, faint but stronger than before, whispering a single urgent word. Fight. Lyra believed she was sold for a sin she never committed. She believed she was broken, stained, unworthy. But in a fortress of outcasts and ruins older than her bloodline, the truth was starting to wake, and the only wolf who could smell it, the one who could unravel the lies her pack wrapped around her like chains, was the one she feared most, the Bloodhound Alpha. The one who hunts truth like prey, the one whose amber eyes see everything she's tried to hide. And now, standing at the edge of a battle she doesn't understand, Lyra realizes something terrifying and undeniable. Whatever she is, whatever power sleeps in her blood, it's waking up. And when it does, nothing, not her past, not her fear, not the lies, will be able to hold it back. The morning in Ronan's fortress is anything but peaceful. Lyra wakes to the sound of distant howls, sharp and chilling. They're not coming from Ronan's pack. They're border wolves, letting everyone know an intruder's been spotted. Dust falls from the ceiling as the keep itself seems to tremble under the weight of what's coming. Wolves pass her door in tense silence, some pacing, some whispering, all of them throwing glances her way. Their looks are sharp, suspicious, cold. Lyra feels it. She's not welcome, only tolerated because Ronan commands it. She drags herself to the courtyard, shoulders tight with worry. As soon as she appears, training stops. Wolves, warriors, scouts, even servants, turn and stare, making no effort to hide their distrust. Standing by the training ring is Mira, tall and broad, a jagged scar crossing her cheek. Mira steps close, circling Lyra, eyes narrow and predatory. She doesn't even try to hide the sneer when she speaks. "We don't keep strays, especially ones sold for spreading their legs." Lyra's throat goes dry. She doesn't answer, biting the inside of her cheek so she won't cry. Darius, Ronan's beta, second in command, and as intimidating as any alpha, steps in before Mira can do more. Even his voice is sharp, cutting the tension, but not the hostility. "You heard the alpha. She stays until he says otherwise. That's all you need to know." The pack moves on, but the air sours. Lyra sees it clear as day. She's in no man's land here. This keep is not a sanctuary. It's a cage made of new rules and old resentments. As she walks toward the kitchens, Lyra hears two warriors sharpening their blades nearby, speaking loudly enough for her to catch every word. "She slept with a human." That's why her wolf is broken. Why else would her parents sell her? The Bloodhound Alpha's losing his mind, taking her in. Every word feels like a claw scratched down her back. She wants to scream the truth, wants to beg them to listen. But all she can do is keep moving, keep breathing. Her wolf curls up inside her, whimpering, helpless as ever. Suddenly, an ancient horn blares, so deep it shakes the stones underfoot. The whole keep freezes. Ronan's voice booms, steady and strong. To the east gate, now! Wolves shift so fast the air is filled with the sound of breaking bones and bursting fur. Darius seizes Lyra by the arm, dragging her back toward the inner hall. His grip is rough. Stay behind me. If they're here for you, not even Ronan can protect you. But Lyra tears free. She is done hiding. She would rather face death than crawl into another corner. She follows the crowd outside and her stomach twists. Her old pack is storming up the path. Warriors armored in leather and bone, torches blazing bright, even in daylight. At their head stands the beta, smug, eyes cruel. Behind him, she glimpses her father, face hard and unreadable, and her uncle, sneering as always. The beta steps forward, holding out a parchment stamped with the moon's seal. We come by the moon's decree. Return the girl. Ronan stands in front of his gathered wolves, unshifted, bare-chested, every old scar on display. His stillness is deadly. You sold her. She's not yours. The beta points at Lyra, raising his voice so the whole valley will hear. She broke sacred law. She carries the scent of human lust. Lyra's chest tightens. Her head spins. She knows what's coming, and there's nowhere to hide. The beta lets the crowd hush, every eye glued to her. Then, so everyone can hear, he shouts, "She seduced a human boy. She lay with him. She is tainted." Lyra shakes, her face hot as the shame claws at her. Some of Ronan's wolves recoil, backing away as though filth might be catching. Mira's laugh is a dagger. Told you! Lyra shrinks smaller, wishing she could vanish, wishing she could fight the truth they force on her. Ronan moves, quiet, slow, every muscle controlled. He crosses to Lyra, lowering his head until he's close enough to breathe in her scent, his face unreadable. He smells everything, rain, fear, pain, old wounds, and then something deeper, something that cracks his mask. His jaw flexes. His amber eyes darken. He straightens, turning to the beta, the air vibrating with menace. "You're lying," Ronan says softly, every word cold as steel. The crowd falls silent. Some wolves gasp. Even the wind holds its breath. The beta roars, "You dare challenge the council's word?" Ronan only shrugs, his tone like the snap of a trap. "I challenge your stench." The world erupts. The beta lunges, jaws wide, claws out. But Ronan is faster. He catches him mid-leap, slamming him into the mud, claws growing but not full wolf. Wolves on both sides leap into the fight, screams, teeth, mud everywhere. Lyra stumbles backward as the battle bursts around her. Her wolf, frightened and weak for so long, suddenly snarls inside her chest. She feels silver fire light up her veins, faint but real, enough that she digs her heels in and refuses to fall. The ground trembles beneath her feet. Every wolf feels it, even if they can't name what it is. The world is fighting back now. And for the first time since being branded a traitor, Lyra isn't running. She's waking up. The battle ends as quickly as it began. Ronan's pack drives the attackers back, snarling and snapping until her father's warriors scatter into the forest. The beta escapes, bleeding from a gash across his ribs, shouting threats as he disappears into the trees. "This isn't over! We'll return with the council!" Rain pours hard now, washing mud and blood into the earth. Wolves shift back to human form, exhausted, bruised, breathing heavy. The courtyard is littered with broken weapons and wounded bodies. Ronan stands alone in the center of it all, chest heaving, streaked with dirt and crimson. His amber eyes cut through the rain, finding Lyra where she stands frozen near the gate. He doesn't look angry. He doesn't look triumphant. He just looks at her, searching, studying, trying to piece together something only he can see. He walks toward her slowly, each step deliberate. The crowd parts without a word. Lyra's heart pounds so hard, she thinks it might break through her ribs. She expects him to yell, to demand answers, to throw her out. Instead, he stops just close enough that she can feel the heat radiating from his skin despite the rain. His voice is quiet, rough, meant only for her. When I smelled you, fear, pain, storm, but no human, not a trace. The words hit her like a blow. Lyra's face crumples. The tears she's been holding back for weeks, months, finally break free. Her shoulders shake as she whispers, voice so small it barely makes it past her lips. No one ever asked me what happened. Ronan's jaw tightens. For a moment, he looks like he wants to say something, but he doesn't. Instead, he turns, gesturing for her to follow. Come. She does, limping after him through the rain, through corridors carved into stone, down narrow steps that spiral deeper into the earth. The air grows warmer, damp with steam. They emerge into a hidden cavern lit by torches, their flames dancing against wet rock. A natural hot spring bubbles in the center, steam rising in soft clouds. Wounded wolves rest around the edges, tending injuries, speaking in low voices. Ronan leads Lyra to the far corner, away from the others, to a small alcove where the firelight barely reaches. He calls out for someone to bring salves and bandages. Then he sits down on a flat stone near the spring's edge, motioning for her to sit beside him. Not close enough to touch, but close enough that she feels his warmth like a silent promise that she's safe. For now, Lyra sits, pulling her knees to her chest, still shaking. The tears haven't stopped. She wipes at her face with muddy hands. Embarrassed, but too tired to care. After a long silence, she finally speaks. How did you know the beta was lying? Ronan's eyes shift to the fire crackling nearby. His voice is steady, but edged with something darker. My nose has never failed me. It's why they call me cursed. She looks at him, waiting. He doesn't meet her eyes, just stares into the flames like they hold memories he'd rather forget. I was born this way. Even as a pup, I could smell lies. Fear, betrayal, hidden things people didn't want known. He pauses, jaw working. Packs tried to use me. Leaders wanted me to sniff out traitors, expose rivals, break apart families. When I refused, they turned on me, called me dangerous, unnatural. His voice drops lower. I had a mate once. She swore she loved me, swore she'd stand by me. He finally looks at Lyra, amber eyes burning. She betrayed me for power, sold pack secrets to our enemies. I smelled the lie on her skin for weeks before I confronted her. She didn't even deny it when I did. Lyra's wolf growls deep inside her chest, protective, fierce, surprising them both. Ronan's eyes widen just slightly, a flicker of something unreadable crossing his face. He kneels in front of her, reaching for her injured ankle. His hands are warm, steady, surprisingly gentle for someone so feared. He cleans the cut with water from the spring, his touch careful, precise. Lyra's face flushes. She's not used to touch that isn't violent or disgusted. She's not used to being cared for. Why help me? She whispers. Ronan pauses, fingers still wrapped around her ankle. He doesn't look up. I don't help liars. And you're not one. Lyra looks away, tears burning fresh in her eyes. She doesn't trust herself to speak. The fire crackles softly. The spring bubbles. The world outside feels far away. Ronan finishes wrapping her ankle and sits back, but he doesn't move far. He stays close, close enough that she can hear his breathing, feel the weight of his presence beside her. The air between them shifts. Lyra's breath trembles as she dares to glance at him. His eyes drop to her lips for a fleeting second. Just one heartbeat, maybe two. Her pulse stutters. He leans in, just slightly. She leans in too, drawn by something she doesn't understand but can't resist. Their breath mingles, warm and unsteady. The space between them shrinks to nothing. Then, abruptly, Ronan stands. He steps back, running a hand through his wet hair, jaw clenched. His voice comes out rough, conflicted. "Don't trust me so easily. I can still hurt you." Lyra sits frozen, heart pounding, confusion and longing tangled together in her chest. She watches as he walks into the shadows of the cavern, disappearing among the other wolves, leaving her alone with the firelight and the ache of something almost, but not quite reached. She feared him, needed him, wanted to run from him, wanted to stay. And for the first time, she wondered if the most feared wolf in the realm might be the only one who saw her at all. The hours pass slowly in the cavern. Lyra watches the fire burn low, watches the other wolves come and go, watches the steam curl upward and disappear into the dark. Her ankle throbs less now, wrapped carefully in clean cloth. But her heart aches with something new and terrifying. She thinks about the way Ronan looked at her, the way his hands were gentle, the way he defended her when no one else would. She thinks about the almost kiss, the breath they shared, the way he pulled away, like touching her, burned him. He's afraid, she realizes, not of her, but of what she makes him feel. And that scares her more than anything. A shadow falls across her, and she looks up to find Darius standing there, arms crossed, expression unreadable. "You should rest," he says gruffly. "Tomorrow won't be easier." Lyra nods, standing on shaky legs. Darius escorts her back through the corridors to her small stone room. He doesn't say much, but before he leaves, he pauses at the door. "Ronan doesn't let people in, ever. If he's letting you stay, there's a reason. Don't waste it." Then he's gone, leaving Lyra alone with those words echoing in her mind. She lies on the bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything. The battle, the confession, the almost kiss, Ronan's voice. "I don't help liars. And you're not one." For the first time in her life, someone believes her. Someone sees past the accusations, the shame, the lies her pack wrapped around her like chains, and that someone is the most dangerous wolf she's ever met. Lyra closes her eyes, exhaustion finally pulling her under. But even in sleep, she feels him. Ronan's presence, his warmth, his truth. And somewhere deep inside, her wolf stirs. Stronger now, whispering a word she doesn't expect. Hours. The days after the battle hang heavy over the fortress, like storm clouds that won't break. Rumors spread faster than wildfire through Ronan's pack, whispers growing louder and sharper with each passing hour. Wolves huddle in corners, voices low but vicious. Why would the Bloodhound Alpha defend her? He never defends anyone. She must be manipulating him, using some kind of magic. Mira watches from across the training yard, sharpening a blade with slow, deliberate strokes, almost like she's putting on a show. Her eyes never leave Lyra, cold and full of contempt. Other wolves glance at Lyra with suspicion, some with outright hatred. She feels their stares like claws dragging across her skin. And Ronan has disappeared. He avoids everyone, even her. Lyra catches glimpses of him pacing the fortress walls at night, alone, restless as a caged animal. Not angry, not confused, haunted. Like something inside him is fighting a war she can't see. Then, on the third day, everything changes. 3 old wolves appear at the fortress gates, Ronan's council, elders with ceremonial scars carved into their faces, eyes that have seen too many winters. They demand an audience with Ronan, their voices sharp with authority. The meeting is held in the great hall, doors closed, but Lyra hears the raised voices echoing through stone. The elders insist she must stand trial. They believe her arrival has corrupted the ridge, stirred up old dangers, brought chaos to the borders. One elder's voice cuts through the rest. "Your judgment is compromised, Alpha. The girl must be tested." Ronan's response is a low growl, but the elders invoke ancient pack law, the one even he cannot override. The trial will happen. Tonight, Lyra is dragged to the underground hall as the sun sets, wolves gathering from every corner of the territory. The hall is massive, carved from rock, lit by torches and thin shafts of moonlight filtering through cracks in the ceiling. She's pushed to the center, surrounded by a sea of glowing eyes, some curious, most hostile. Her heart pounds so hard she thinks everyone can hear it. The council stands at the far end, robes heavy with symbols of old pack law. One elder steps forward, voice echoing off stone. "Lyra, daughter of Elias Grayfin, you stand accused of bringing ruin to this pack. Defend yourself." Her voice trembles as she speaks. "I didn't sleep with anyone. I didn't break my pack's law. I swear." Mira's voice cuts through like a blade. "Then why did they sell you?" The crowd murmurs, a ripple of agreement spreading like poison. Lyra's face burns with shame. She has no answer, not one they'll believe. Then Ronan steps into the circle. He stands at her side, silent but unmistakable, a claim. Gasps ripple through the wolves. Some step back. Others lean forward, hungry for what comes next. Mira snarls, disbelief and fury warring on her face. "Alpha, you would defend her over your own pack?" Ronan's voice is steady, cold. "I defend truth." The eldest of the council raises a gnarled hand. "Then let the scent trial decide." Wolves shift uneasily. The scent trial is ruthless, ancient. It exposes all lies, all secrets, all fears buried deep. A bowl is brought forward, filled with burning herbs that smell like death and wildflowers mixed together. Smoke rises in ghostly tendrils, curling through the air like living things. The elder speaks. "Lyra must breathe the smoke. The alpha must scent her again in front of the pack. The truth will be revealed." Lyra's legs shake. She looks at Ronan, hoping for something. Reassurance, protection, a way out. But his face is tormented, torn. The ritual could hurt her, break her mind, or expose secrets she doesn't even know she carries. Still, he nods. They have no choice. Lyra kneels before the bowl, hands trembling. She leans forward and breathes in the smoke. It burns her lungs like fire, choking her, making her eyes water. The world spins. Voices echo in her head. Her mother crying, her father's cold words, the beta's accusations. She gasps, struggling to stay upright. The elder begins to chant, voice rising and falling like a funeral hymn. Then he speaks words that make the entire hall freeze. "Beware the silver flame wolf, she who will tear packs apart, she who carries forbidden blood, she whose heart is a spark of ruin." The crowd recoils. Mira hisses through bared teeth. It's her. "The ruin wolf." Lyra shakes violently, smoke still burning in her chest. She tries to speak, to deny it, but her voice is gone. All eyes turn to Ronan. He steps toward her slowly, every movement deliberate. The hall falls silent, so quiet Lyra can hear her own heartbeat thundering in her ears. Ronan leans in, close enough that his breath warms her skin. He inhales deeply, taking in her scent, reading everything she is. And then his eyes widen. Not with disgust, not with condemnation, with horror, because he doesn't smell lies. He smells power, ancient, forbidden, pure. Power that shouldn't exist, power that could change everything. He steps back, face pale, jaw tight. He's not rejecting her, he's not condemning her, but he's terrified of what her blood means. The crowd misreads his shock. Mira screams triumphantly. "Even the Bloodhound Alpha sees it! She is the ruin wolf!" The pack turns. Wolves snarl, some shifting halfway, eyes glowing with rage and fear. Someone throws a stone. It hits Lyra's shoulder, sharp and brutal. Another wolf grabs her hair, yanking her head back. Ronan tries to speak, but he hesitates, torn between instinct, fear of the prophecy, and the need to protect her. That pause breaks Lyra's heart. She looks at him, tears streaming down her face, and sees the hesitation, the doubt, and something inside her cracks wide open. Her vision blurs. Silver fire erupts from her veins, crawling up her arms like living light. The floor beneath her feet cracks, stone splitting with a sound like thunder. A shockwave explodes outward, throwing wolves backward. Even Ronan stumbles, bracing himself against the wall. Torches flare into silver flame, casting wild shadows across the hall. Wolves scream, scrambling back, eyes wide with terror. Lyra stands at the center of it all, tears still falling, power blazing around her like a second skin. Her voice comes out raw, broken, furious. "You all think I'm a monster?" "Fine." She raises her hands, and silver light gathers in her palms, crackling with energy. The entire hall trembles. Wolves press themselves against the walls, too afraid to move. Even the elders step back, chanting words of protection that do nothing. Lyra's wolf roars inside her, no longer weak, no longer silent. Fully awake, fully alive, and absolutely done being afraid. A blast of silver light explodes from her chest, bright as the moon itself, filling the hall with blinding radiance. Wolves shield their eyes, the walls shake. And when the light fades, Lyra is gone, vanished into the forest beyond the fortress, leaving only silence and fear in her wake. The hall is chaos, wolves shouting, torches flaring with silver fire that shouldn't exist, smoke thick in the air. Lyra stumbles out through the broken doorway, clutching her head as the power inside her burns like molten metal poured through her veins. Her wolf is awake now, not weak, not whimpering, but fierce and ancient and primal. It howls inside her chest, demanding freedom, demanding revenge, demanding everything she's been denied. The walls of the fortress tremble as she runs into the stormy night. Rain lashes at her face, but she doesn't feel it. All she feels is the fire, the rage, the terrible truth that she's not broken. She's powerful, and they all feared it. Behind her, Ronan shakes off dust and broken stone, chest heaving. Darius grabs his arm, eyes wild. "Let her die! She'll destroy us!" Ronan whirls on him, growling so deep it makes the ground shake. "If she wanted us dead, we'd already be corpses." He shifts, bones cracking, fur bursting through skin, into his massive wolf form, black fur streaked with silver, like lightning frozen in time. Then he sprints after her, disappearing into the dark valley. Lyra runs blind, tears streaming down her face. When they hit the ground, they sizzle into sparks. Trees part around her path like they're afraid to touch her. Leaves glow faintly in her wake, silver and strange. The storm overhead responds to her emotions. Lightning strikes in rhythm with her heartbeat, thunder echoing her pain. She can feel everything, every living creature, every trembling wolf, every deceitful heart that ever lied to her, and she senses something else, a presence following her like a shadow. Ronan. She runs harder, not wanting him to see her like this, wild, broken, dangerous. She doesn't know where she's going until she reaches it. A shimmering lake nestled between black hills. Water so still it looks like glass. The air here is different, sacred, forbidden. This is where the moon's magic is strongest. Lyra collapses at the water's edge, gasping, screaming as silver flame bursts violently from her spine. Pain rips through her, so fierce she can't breathe. Her reflection in the water distorts, eyes glowing white, veins blazing with light, a wolf form flickering behind her like a ghost trying to break free. She whispers through sobs, "Make it stop, Lyra." The voice cuts through her agony. She looks up to see Ronan shifting back into human form, soaked from rain and battle, chest heaving. He approaches slowly, hands raised like she's a wounded animal that might bolt. His voice is low, careful. "Lyra, look at me," she sobs harder. "Everyone thinks I'm a curse. Maybe they're right." Ronan kneels in front of her, close enough that she can see the scars on his chest, the worry etched into his face. He reaches out, placing a trembling hand on her cheek. Then he does what he does best. He inhales her scent again, deeper, slower, cutting through every layer. Pain, fear, power, bloodline, destiny, truth. And suddenly, he freezes. His eyes widen, horror and understanding crashing together. He whispers, voice shaking, "They didn't sell you because of infidelity." Lyra's breath catches. Ronan continues, barely able to get the words out. "They sold you because you're not their daughter." Everything in her breaks. The ground beneath her cracks wider. The lake's surface ripples violently. Your scent. Ronan's voice is rough, barely controlled. It carries alpha lineage, not from your father's pack. You're from the moon-blessed line. Lyra stumbles back, shaking her head. No, that's not. Your real father was killed, Ronan says, voice low and urgent. And your mother hid you. Your adopted parents sold you to destroy the last heir. Lightning blasts across the lake at the revelation, so bright it turns night into day for a heartbeat. Lyra's power erupts uncontrollably, silver fire exploding around her, wild and furious. She can't contain it anymore. She doesn't want to. From the shadows across the lake, a figure emerges, tall, hooded, moving with predatory grace. The air grows colder, heavier. Wolves howl in the distance, but not Ronan's pack. These are darker, older, filled with malice. The figure lowers his hood, revealing a face carved from cruelty and ambition. Alpha Kalen, leader of the Shadowfang pack, feared across every territory, a wolf who deals in death and secrets. His eyes glow red in the darkness, and when he speaks, his voice is smooth, mocking. Enough running, girl. Your blood belongs to me. Lyra screams as her body glows violently, silver fire wrapping around her like armor. Ronan growls, stepping between her and Kalen, his massive frame tense and ready. The air crackles with the promise of war. Kalen raises a dark staff, twisted wood carved with runes that pulse with sickly green light. Shadows curl around him like living things, hungry and cold. You always did have a weakness for strays, Bloodhound. Step aside or die with her. Ronan's voice is a low, deadly snarl. You'll have to kill me first. Kalen laughs, a sound like breaking bones. Gladly. Lyra collapses to her knees, the power inside her too much, too wild. She's drowning in it, burning from the inside out. But through the pain, through the chaos, she hears her wolf's voice, clear and strong for the first time in her life. Fight! You are not theirs. You are mine, she whispers, tears streaming, voice raw but steady. I am not your sacrifice. Silver flame explodes around her, brighter than the moon, hotter than any fire, turning night into blinding day. The lake erupts in waves of light. Trees bend back. Wolves across the valley howl in fear and awe. Ronan shields his eyes, staggering back. Kalen raises his staff, shadows fighting against the light. And Lyra, broken, betrayed, powerful, rises to her feet, eyes blazing white, silver fire pouring from her like a river breaking through a dam. The world holds its breath, and then everything goes dark. Lyra floats in darkness, not empty darkness, but darkness threaded with silver veins that pulse like a heartbeat. She doesn't know where she is, only that it's quiet here, still, like the world is holding its breath. Then she sees it, a massive silver wolf circling her, silent and ancient, its fur glowing with light that seems to come from within. Its eyes are her eyes. When it opens its mouth, she hears her own voice echoing back, strong and sure. You are not ruin, you are rebirth. The words settle into her bones, warm and certain, chasing away the fear that's lived there for so long. Meanwhile, in the real world, chaos reigns. Ronan stands between Kalen and Lyra's unconscious body, legs braced, chest heaving. The lake churns with magical storms, waves crashing against the shore. Wolves clash in the woods, Shadowfang warriors against Ronan's pack, snarls and screams tearing through the night. Ronan's voice is a thunderous roar. Touch her, and die! Kalen smirks, shadows curling around him like living smoke. You protect a prophecy that will destroy you. She's the Silver Flame Wolf, the one who tears packs apart. You know the stories, Bloodhound. You know what she'll become. Ronan's eyes blaze with fury. She's not a weapon. She's not yours. Kalen raises his twisted staff, dark runes glowing. Then you'll die with her. But before he can strike, Lyra wakes. Silver light bursts from her body, so bright it swallows the night. Her eyes glow white, burning with power she no longer fears. Her wolf form flickers behind her like wings made of flame, massive and terrible and beautiful. Ronan stumbles back, whispering in awe and terror. Moon, save us! Lyra stands slowly, power crackling around her like a living thing. She inhales deeply, and suddenly the world changes. Every lie in the forest becomes visible as black smoke curling through the air. She sees Kaelin's darkest secrets: murders committed, pacts betrayed, children sold. She sees her adopted father's betrayal, the contract signed in blood, the gold he pocketed, the relief on his face when she was gone. She sees her old pack's corruption, lies stacked on lies, fear dressed up as honor. And then she sees Ronan's truth, bright and clear and almost painful. He is terrified of losing her. The flood of truth is too much. Lyra screams as it crashes through her senses, overwhelming, suffocating. A silver shockwave explodes outward, throwing Ronan to the ground. Kaelin is blasted backward into the lake with a scream, his staff shattering. The world itself seems to bend under the force of her power. Trees groaning, stones cracking, the very air trembling. Ronan crawls toward her through the chaos, pulling himself forward on shaking arms. He grabs her shoulders, shaking her, his voice desperate. Lyra, come back. If you lose control, you'll tear yourself apart. She sobs, tears streaming down her glowing face. I don't know how to stop it. Ronan pulls her close, wrapping his arms around her, even as silver fire burns between them. His voice is rough, raw with emotion. Then let me be your anchor. The words break through the storm inside her. Lyra clings to him, to his warmth, his steadiness, the certainty in his voice. Slowly, the light begins to fade. The power recedes, pulling back into her skin like breath returning to lungs. The lake calms. The forest quiets. Lyra collapses into Ronan's arms, exhausted, shaking, barely able to hold herself upright. She whispers, voice so small it almost disappears. Will you fear me now? Ronan holds her tighter, his face buried in her hair. When he speaks, his voice cracks with something that sounds like breaking and healing all at once. I fear losing you, not you. Her heart stops for a beat. Then it starts again, faster, fiercer, full of something she's never let herself feel before. Hope, if your heart is with Lyra, broken, hunted, rising in silver flame, stay with us. Subscribe to Crimson Moon by Benny. Like, comment where you're watching from, because destiny is only getting darker. Ronan lifts Lyra carefully, cradling her against his chest, as though she might shatter. She's barely conscious, eyes flickering between white and their natural color, her body trembling with aftershocks of power. Around them, the battle has stopped. Wolves from both packs stand frozen, staring at the girl who just bent the world to her will. Kaelin pulls himself from the lake, drenched and furious, but even he hesitates. His eyes lock on Lyra with a mixture of hunger and fear. This isn't over, he snarls, backing into the shadows. She's the key to everything, and I will have her. Then he's gone, vanished into the forest with his remaining wolves, leaving only the echo of his threat hanging in the air. Darius appears at Ronan's side, bloodied but standing. He looks at Lyra, then at Ronan, conflict written all over his face. Alpha, what do we do? Ronan's answer is immediate, unyielding. We protect her. Murmurs ripple through the gathered wolves. Some nod. Others look away, uncertain. But no one argues. Not after what they just witnessed. Ronan carries Lyra back through the forest, his pack falling in behind him. Silent, watchful, changed. The fortress looms ahead, dark against the pre-dawn sky. As they pass through the gates, wolves part to let them through, eyes wide with something that might be fear or might be reverence. Ronan takes Lyra to his own quarters, a private chamber carved into stone, sparse but warm. He lays her on the bed, brushing damp hair from her face. Her eyes flutter open, focusing on him with effort. Ronan, she whispers. What am I? He kneels beside the bed, taking her hand in his. You're the moon-blessed heir, the last of a bloodline everyone thought was destroyed. His jaw tightens. And you're the most powerful wolf I've ever seen. Lyra's eyes fill with tears. I'm scared. Ronan squeezes her hand gently. So am I, but we'll figure it out. Together, she searches his face, looking for lies, for doubt. But all she sees is truth, raw and real and unshakable. For the first time in her life, she's not alone. Outside, the first light of dawn breaks over the valley, painting the sky in shades of silver and gold. The world has changed. Lyra has changed, and nothing will ever be the same again. Kaelin's wolves drag him from the lake. He survives. Barely. Muddy water runs down his face as he coughs, hissing through broken teeth. The moon air has awakened. He spits, his voice echoing with hate. The world will burn. His swollen eyes find Lyra across the battlefield, and his words pierce the tense night. And she will kill the wolf she loves. Ronan steps between them before Kaelin can say more, a warning rumble deep in his chest. The earth begins to tremble, cracks snaking through the ground like lightning. The moon above turns blood red, painting the lake in ghostly light as it starts to evaporate into swirling mist. Wolves shrink back, whimpering, their bodies pressed low as Lyra's power churns beneath the ridge. The air feels thick and wrong, like something ancient is breaking open. From the edge of the woods, an elder appears, shaky but determined, holding a scroll sealed with silver wax. His hands tremble as he breaks the seal and reads, voice thin but full of fear and awe. When the silver flame awakens, her heart shall choose the Alpha, and her choice shall either bind the realm or break it. Silence hangs so heavy that it hurts. Lyra's breath catches, her whole self tightening around the weight of destiny. Ronan stiffens at her side, like he's suddenly holding up the sky. Kaelin just smiles, the kind of smile that means war. The wolves keep their distance, pressed against ruined stones and torn earth. The night is too quiet. Lyra's voice shakes as she looks to Ronan. Is it true? That I could destroy everything? Ronan's eyes hold hers, steady and sad. Prophecies lie, people lie, but scent never does. He reaches out, takes her hand, and neither of them lets go. Suddenly, the sky splits with a silver crack, lightning zigzagging across the clouds. A woman's voice whispers from the heavens, soft, echoing with power. She is not the only one. Lyra's blood runs cold. Ronan's gaze jerks upward, searching for the face behind the thunder. On the far ridge, above the steaming, vanishing lake, a second silver glow shimmers. A wolf shape, huge, regal, glowing with the same burning silver as Lyra, stands watching. It is not friend, not ally, not mate. It is another heir, another threat, another destiny tangled with Lyra's own. The air pulses with warning. Power, fear, longing, and war hang over every living thing. Darkness thickens, moonlight spills over ancient wounds, and the world waits to see what Lyra will choose. Two silver wolves cannot exist in one age, without blood painting the moon. Who is the second heir? What bond ties them to Lyra's fate? And which alpha will she choose? The one who fears losing her, or the one who will kill kingdoms to claim her? This story has only begun.